that a similar system that you would see on a rooftop, like a commercial rooftop, flat roof?
You could sometimes, on a flat roof, sometimes they could use a ballasted foundation. Rooftops we either do, sometimes you can actually penetrate the roof. But you could also do ballast, yeah, on a rooftop as well. It's probably not as heavy on a roof. I mean, you do the engineering and the county engineering to make sure that the roof can support the load. And we'll also do limited geotech here as well, just to make sure that the weight of the ballast won't compromise the cabinet and, you know, cause any settlement or something that will compromise the cap. We'll have a geotechnical engineering firm do that.
On the shared solar, there's 50 megawatts in the AEP system. If this project is not chosen in that, will that kill the project, or will you still build out a solar farm? How does that work?
So that's a good question. If it doesn't get chosen in this program, then we probably wouldn't do a shared solar, but there may still be an opportunity to do more like a more traditional utility scale type of solar project, because AEP does have annual RFPs that they're putting out. So there could be an opportunity to still do, we probably wouldn't have to subdivide it like we're doing now and everything, but there still could be an opportunity to do a utility scale project. But you know, we find that shared solar is always the best use for it, because the people that benefit there are the actual residential customers directly and not utility. Utility is more like a facilitator role. They're just putting credits on customers' bills, but customers are the ones who save. So, you know, it makes more sense all around. Usually, so it's kind of like our first choice, so to speak. But that could be an alternative option if something's we don't get into the program.
How many acres is you plan on putting up there?
So we usually it usually needs about 5 acres, 4 or 5 acres a megawatt. This would probably be about 15 megawatt between a little less than 15 megawatt between everything. So it'll probably be about 75 acres. Rick, do you happen to know offhand the acreage?
We did not break down the acreage specifically,
Okay.
so I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can get that information if we need it. But ballpark, it's roughly around 75 acres or so. I know that we're on the contract to purchase 120 acres overall, but we're obviously not using all of it for the actual panels. You know, the actual panel area will probably be closer to around 75 or so acres.
We're proposing 120 acres in the fence.
Inside, oh, well, let's put the fence around.
Three fence, right.
Right, but the actual modules area will probably be a lot smaller.
You're talking about the piece of property is coming from Duffield, going back towards Sunbright. It's to the right up there on the hill where the church is before you get there on that.
I think so, yeah, right where Horton Summit Road, I think, intersects with National Tunnel. That's where the entrance is.
Now, how do you get up there to that property?
Get up onto the property.
Yeah, from the main road?
I think there's an existing site access already, because they're still monitoring, you know, the cap already. So they're still going on to the site every so often. I know we've had surveyors out there, you know, to start with the survey for the boundary line adjustment, but there's an existing road there already that's still usable. It's still being used.
If this is approved, when do you expect to start construction?
So we still have a little bit of work to do. The program is up in July, and then it'll take some time to get into the program. And then we're also going to obviously work with DEQ to get their approval. So it's kind of hard to give you an exact date of when we can start construction. But you know, I would think probably sometime either end of this year or maybe beginning of next year. Also taking into account the season, you know, being winter and everything, might want to wait until springtime once the weather clears up. But sometime around, I would say year end or beginning of year next year, first, second quarter next year.
How long For the previous brown.
previous use?
Yeah.
That I'm not sure. I would have to reach out to the existing owners to see what kind of arrangement they had in place with DEQ, how long that monitoring has to go on for.
And y'all will have to cooperate with everything as far as monitoring and
Yeah,
any issues that arise.
right. That's what we have to work with DEQ. We want to make sure that they still, whatever monitoring they need to do, we don't get in their way, so to speak.
How long do you think them solar panels will last till you replace them or do away with them or whatever?
So the panels come with a 25-year manufacturer's warranty, and they usually go, a little longer. So, in a typical lease scenario, we'll usually negotiate 25-year lease, and then we'll have a few 5-year renewal periods at the end. And the reason why they do that is so that we can evaluate the condition of the panels and the equipment that we have on site to evaluate their condition, and then we'll renew it for an additional 5 years based on each 5-year evaluation that we do. So, I would say maybe 30, 35 years, probably, I've seen financial models taking into account the 35-year useful life.
Then after 30, 35 years, whatever, are you gonna take care of cleaning it up or what?
Yeah. So we'll be putting out a decommissioning bond to be able to set the bonding in place to ensure that all the decommissioning takes place at the end of the useful life and everything gets removed and the property gets restored back to its pre-existing condition. And because it's balanced, so there's no penetrations or anything, so it's really just,
In other words, the county wouldn't be responsible for anything after.
Right, yeah. We would have that bond posted so that it would all be covered.
Mr. Williams or Bill, I don't know who would have the answer for this, but is there anything that you can do with the brownfield site other than watch it? You can't put houses or anything up there, right?
No, the penetrating the soil, the cap is the big problem.
Right.
And the way they're installing these solar panels seems to me like a good use for it. I will tell the board that the planning commission voted unanimously with 2 members absent to recommend to the board of supervisors to approve the special use permits.
One other thing I forgot to mention was that there were 2 conditions that we had agreed upon that we just requested to be incorporated into the approval.
And those are around setbacks and buffering and voluntary payment.
Yes.
To Duffield Fire.
Yes.
All right. We'll open, I guess, if you all don't have any questions, we'll open up for public comment.
Thank you.
See where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll open for public comment. If anybody wants to comment on, we'll do this on a partial by partial basis. So you want me to do 73 first? Okay, perfect. Comment for 73. All right, we'll close public comment for 73. Do we need to vote on that, or do you want me to just open it up for the next two?
Do them all.
Oh. We'll open public comment for 16. Okay. Close public comment for 16. And we'll open public comment for 18. Open comment for 18. All right. No public comment for 73, 16, or 18. All right, so do I have a motion to conditionally approve these, or the permit for 73, notwithstanding any other setbacks or buffering requirements. No minimum setback or buffering shall be required along interior lot lines within the project area or along the parcel boundaries where the adjoining parcels are under common ownership or control by the applicant. This exemption also applies to any lot lines shared with other solar energy facilities under common ownership or controlled by the applicant for the purpose of this condition. Common ownership or control includes ownership by the same entity, by affiliated entities, or entities under a common management or operational control. And 2, prior to the start of construction, the applicant shall provide the Duffield volunteer fire department or volunteer fire and rescue squad a contribution. The contribution amount shall be calculated at $5,000 per megawatt, alternating current in megawatt AC based on the final approved capacity of each solar facility as set forth in each facility's interconnection service agreement with PJM Interconnection LLC. Do I have a motion to that effect for 73?
So moved. Go ahead.
Do I have a second? Second.
Who did you?
Second. Second. All right, everybody vote by way of saying aye for 73. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Do I need to read on this?
Same, do you
Okay.
just have same?
Okay. For the same agreement for lot 63-A-16, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then same agreement for 63-A-18. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Looks like you all have permission for all three. Thank you all. All right, Mr. Kilgore, I believe that's where we were at before we had to jostle everything around.
I'm taking enterprise zone, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm on there twice.
You are on there,
Appreciate the opportunity to, gosh, hot mic, I'll sit back here.
Too tall.
Yeah, oh, you're too tall,
You're
okay.
too tall.
Thank you. Nobody's ever told me that.
You should do the too short.
So, got a request from, on the Virginia Enterprise Zone. We do have the 2 expansions, Timber Sealy and BFP, both were in 2021. And as a result of that, Timber Sealy has qualified for machine and tool and, of course, the real estate tax grants. And what we do on those, we make sure, of course, first they pay their taxes, and then we check their average hourly wage and all that, and then that's how we come up with the formula to ask for this grant. So they have qualified for an expansion. Will be on that expansion will be $106,328.97, and then also on that, and that same year in 2021, BFP has qualified for machine and tool tax grant, a real estate tax grant of 60% for tax year 2024 by averaging over 1.5 times the minimum wage rate. And the same thing, we check and make sure they pay their taxes and all that. And their tax grant is, on that expansion, is $40,604.49. And the investment, of course, in the enterprise zone over time, and I would just say that it's in excess of over $2 million that the county has put in to businesses that have actually qualified for enterprise zone incentives. And you've had, of course, Timber Sealy and BFP both have expanded 5 times. And it's great that we're there to partner with them and be there for their next jobs. And I can tell you also that we get the reports occasionally on where their investment is. And, you know, they'll actually be very conservative on their investment. So I'll give you an example. Is BFPs, they said they would invest 7.1 million. They ended up going over 8 million on their investment. So that's all good for us and more tax revenue for the county.
Do you have any numbers on how many people VFP has ended up hiring for their expense? Because I know they were.
VFP is, they said 30 and they have met that goal. That's all I know. I don't know how far they went over that, but they have met the goal.
I've heard they went over it. So.
Yeah, they have went over that, yes.
And these are based on minimum wage rate 2 times and 1.5 times, right?
Right, and the minimum wage, of course, has went up, and that's why, you know, they would be, used to, they would qualify at 100%, and now it's like 80 and 60% because the minimum wages went up, yes.
Okay.
Let me check here quick, see if I've got that number. No, that's not on this report from BFP, sorry.
How could a smaller business qualify for these incentives that's in the interzone area, enterprise area?
We have a chart I can send you, Eddie, that if they do tourism or retail, they can qualify as well, and they have to meet the minimum wage requirement as well, and they have to create so many jobs, but I can send that to you. I don't have that in front of me, but they can qualify as well. They have to be in the enterprise zone. The enterprise zone covers, and just tell you that, it covers from Duffield all the way to the state line on 23, goes all the way to Nicholsville on 71, and then goes all the way to Dungannon on 65. That's basically all the enterprise zone. We would be glad to help any business, and we reach out annually to try to get businesses that have invested, because we track that too and try to get them to apply. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, because they've got to meet the minimum job requirement. If they don't meet that, sometimes they won't apply for that.
Yeah, for smaller business and tourism, is that like a single digit number of employees?
Yeah, it's a single digit number, yeah, it sure is.
I was trying to think of it, but I have it in front of me.
And in the past, we've had, you know, like retail business, you're gonna talk about larger retail, Taco Bell, you know, they qualify for that. And eventually Dollar Tree and Family Dollar and Duffield will qualify. Of course, they wasn't, you gotta be in the whole year, so they elected not to do that, so they can wait till next year.
All right, do we have a motion to approve these payments?
So moved.
That's sir. Looking for a second. So, all right, everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Planning District 1 Behavioral Health Services update, Ms. Hack.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Oh, well, how are you all? Thank you for allowing me to be on the agenda this morning. My name is Kim Howard. I'm the financial officer with Planning District 1 Behavioral Health Services. And I like to come around once a year, more often if you invite me, and just kind of let you know what we've been doing the past year, and to thank you for your support, and know that we're here if you ever have any questions. So I do want to thank Scott County and the Board of Supervisors and the community for all the support that you've given us, and hopefully continue to give us at PD1 in partnership with Frontier Health. And I'm going to take just a few moments. We're going to go through the annual report that I gave you. I'm going to do stuff just a little bit different this year. Usually I come and only talk about numbers, but I decided I'm going to do that this year. So we're going to talk about numbers for a second.
Okay.
So if you'll turn to page 7, you can see there the revenue. This is for fiscal year 24 that ended June 30, 2024. You can see there the breakdown of our budget, and that local government, which includes Scott County, Wise County, Lee County, and the city of Norton, was about 4% of our budget. And for that money, if you flip the page over, you'll see that there's a return on your investment for the whole catchment area, that we were able to serve 5,104 individuals in some capacity in the services that we offer. And then in addition to that, our prevention team was able to reach 5,350 people through 65 community-based events throughout the whole area. So that's a lot of people we're reaching. We're doing that more and more in the community where they are, and that leads me to some of the programs I want to talk about, just 3 today, that we've added or expanded. And so the first one is mobile crisis, and we've expanded that, and that now includes services for both adult and children. And if you look on page 1, mobile crisis is, of course, part of our emergency crisis services, but there's a success story there that I'll let you read whenever you want, how it works hand in hand with the other crisis services that we offer. But mobile crisis consists of several mobile crisis response teams, and they provide rapid response, assessment, and intervention to individuals experiencing mental health crisis. And this is 24/7, and this is at the location where the individual is. So we come there, we assess them, figure out what the best course of action is right there, 24/7, 365. So that's the first one I want to talk about. And then the second one I want to talk about is our Assertive Community Treatment, or ACT program. And that's a brand new service. And then if you flip it to page 2, there's a little story about it there. And ACT is also team-based. It's client-centered mental health service that provides personalized, comprehensive, and intensive support to individuals with severe mental illness. And many of the ACT services, again, are provided right in the community where the consumer or the individual lives. And the long-term goal for ACT is sustained recovery and community integration. And the best way to keep that recovery going and keeping them in the community where they have their supports, where they have a job, where they can get a job, and just working with them there. So those are 2 I want to talk about, and they're individual centered. The third one's just a little bit different, and it's on page 4, and it's called Elios Health. And this is technology-driven integration that we've implemented. It helps with documentation. So when you come in and you have a session, and it complies with all HIPAA, all PHI, all those regulations. Everybody knows that it's running in the background, but it's AI, and it will write 60 to 75% of the note for you from the conversation. And so the clinician, instead of taking 30 minutes to write a note, an hour to write a note, can cut that down to about 10, 20 minutes to finish the note. This has helped also decrease no-shows by 50%. And it has helped with by 5% in reduced staff turnover by 5%. So it's a very new technology, but it's very effective from an employee and a consumer standpoint. So we're very excited that we have that. So those are a few of the new things and exciting things we have going on, in addition to all the other stuff that we've talked about in the past. And then 2 other things I wanted to let you all know is that PD1, in partnership with Friendship Health, we've increased personnel investments by over $1 million in the past few years, so we are now comfortably at market salaries in our area, and continue to do retention bonuses and salary increases each year. So we're excited about that. And one other thing is that PD1, in partnership with Frontier Health, has just earned its 8th consecutive 3-year accreditation with CARF. And that just shows dedication to excellence. And I don't know if anybody's ever been through an accreditation process, but it never gets any easier. but we've been able to do that 8 times in a row. And 3 years is the max you can get with CARF. You can get 6 months to 3 years. So, do y'all have any questions for me? Thank you, and thank you all for your support.
Any questions?
No, thank you. All right, if you ever want me to come back before next year, you just let me know.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to bookkeeping items.
Fortunately, Ms. Vickers is under the weather, so the board will have to listen to me for a second. Appropriate $5,447 to the sheriff repair maintenance of vehicles from an insurance claim received. Appropriate $5,000 to E911 contracted maintenance office equipment for data maintenance transfer grant reimbursement received. Appropriate $700 to the sheriff's department payroll and other from a reimbursement received and deposited at the treasurer's office. Appropriate $375 to the sheriff's department mental health transport salaries from a reimbursement received and deposits at the treasurer's office. The particulars are on your yellow sheet in your folder.
Does anybody have any questions about this? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we'll, everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So appointments?
Yeah, I was seeing if you had any other bookkeeping items.
Oh, no, no other bookkeeping.
Okay, sorry. Appointments.
Michael Egan has applied for the community policy management position.
That's great. Does anybody know Mr. Egan? Or have any comments about that? All right. Anyone, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that nomination, oh, no, not
You need
yet.
a nom-
Oh, yeah, we need
the
a
nomination first, sorry.
I'll nominate Mr. Egan.
And I'll make the motion that nomination cease and we'll vote by acclamation.
I'll second. And everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Egan, for applying for that. That was open for too long. All right, Building Code Appeals Board.
You do not have any applicants for this
Okay.
one.
Need to beat the bushes about that. All right. Moving on, County Attorney's Report. Ms. Kay.
I don't have anything for you today.
Okay.
I have my report, if you have any questions, happy to try to answer.
All right, Acting County Administrator's Report, Mr. Dingus.
If you'll look at your green sheets, the available cash in the general fund currently is $17,380,187.64. Second page, I think everybody's in the same order. You have a graph showing you in comparison to previous years. However, that's the school system hasn't drawn down their money yet.
How much do they have to draw down?
Let's see, I've got a note here. School system, this is a note Bart sent me yesterday. However, the school system has not yet requested their FY25 amount, which is budgeted for $10,998,983. Of that, we're expecting $2,137,451 from the Pearson Virtual Academy. So the net on the general fund after the school system draws down and we get the Pearson money is $8,861,532. No, wait a minute. That's what's owed to the school system.
I'm sorry.
So it would be that 17,000 minus that 8,861,532.
So that's 11.
We end up with about 9 million
About 11.
left. Roughly.
Well, his last note here says that only leaves $8,518,655.61 in the general fund balance. Yeah, we'll clarify that during the budget process. The next page is your vendor list of 5,000 and more. Anybody has any questions? That's the next 2 pages, actually. It's a 2-page list. And your claims, early claims, is a total of $528,905.20. The rest of the claims today is $90,079.20, with the total claims for the month $618,984.40.
This fire department's already drawn all their money.
I'm not sure, Mr. Peter.
Hang on, I can tell you. It's on our budget report. Yes, I do believe they have. Oh, I'm sorry, no. Yes, they're all fully funded now. We've paid out. You wanna know what that number is?
That's why we don't owe anything.
It's been paid.
Do we need a motion to
Pay the
pay
bills.
the bills? Anyone have a motion to pay the bills? All right.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Everybody vote by way of saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Pay the bills. All right, do you have anything under miscellaneous?
Yes, sir. First thing I want to talk about is the maintenance building up here beside the 911 shop. You've probably seen that project going. We hope to occupy that building by the end of the month, sometime before July 1st. It's going to house the SCOT program. It's going to provide them 3 offices and a conference room and save the $1,200 a month rent that we're currently paying. Also, it's going to provide 3 offices for public works and maintenance staff and the shop area. Right now, we're at $184,121, which is the equivalent of $61 a square foot for that building. Commercial cost can, the low end of commercial cost is $240 a square foot. So when you see our maintenance guys that have been working up our and still doing their other stuff just about every day, and the Scott system or Scott Services system workers that have contributed a lot of time up there. So we invite you to
I want to say thank you.
yeah, stop by and take a look at that. It's going to be a great asset for a pretty good price here in the county. Anybody have any questions about the building?
No more yard barn.
No more yard barn. Yeah. Okay, I got an update on the Scott County Life Saving Crew. We met with the association president, vice president. When I say we, myself and Ms. Kegley met with them to get an update. And they reported that they had met with the mayor and the vice mayor of Gate City, who is fully behind the actions that the board took and was concerned about the rescue squad in town. So it alleviated some of their concerns. All shifts have been covered since then by alternating personnel from Duffield and Nicholasville, as well as the ones at the Scott County Life Saving Crew. The association met early on, like we did that on Friday. Monday they met with the current Scott County Life Saving Crew employees, which consisted of 1 full-time and 5 part-time staff. It was discovered that only one of the 5 tough books, which they use for logging in calls, was operational. So they worked on getting all those tough books operational. They're in the ambulances and report how they when they make a call.
That's just a specialized type of laptop, right?
Special, yeah, it's probably a hardened laptop with a special software in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Several reports were found to be incomplete and not sent in, so they've been working on getting those reports in, which is how the rescue squad is paid. The association held a meeting with the Scott County Life Saving Crew Board of Directors, who has been cooperative with the association. The association informed the acting county administrator that at that time, on our meeting on the 27th, that they had interviewed 1 employee and had 3 additional interviews. Then I got a text on Thursday, May the 29th, that they reported that they have hired 5 full-time and 5 part-time employees at Scott County Life Saving Crew. So they, to use a June reference, they have been making hay
Awesome.
Really have.
since our action. I will talk more about this during our budget meeting, but they also talked about a budget proposal to help fund the EMS agencies in the county. And what they're looking at is 6 full-time positions at each squad, which is 18 in total. And when you think about the 6 full-time, they're talking about 40 hours a week being that full-time. Now that 40 hours, that one employee could be, that could be 3 part-time employees working that 40 hours. Or it could be a couple of part-time employees and a PRN, which somebody on call or as needed to fill those 40 hours. So when you talk about 18 employees, you're talking about 40-hour blocks. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically a full-time.
Full-time equivalent, yeah. It could be 1 person that's full-time, but it could also be 3 part-times or 2 part-times, whatever. They propose a pay rate of $18 an hour, which is approximately $5 more an hour than the rate currently that they can pay EMS. However, it is still $5 an hour less than market. So 18 is, 5 less than what they might get going somewhere else, but 5 more than what they're paying now. But they think that they can make things competitive and retain people with that. That would require an additional $300,000 above the current $300,000 budgeted for EMS pay support, with a total on that line item $600,000.
Bill, do you know if the town of Gate City contributes any money?
The town, no, this is secondhand knowledge on my part. But when we talked to the association, the town was talking to them about contributing, especially in the squad that's located in Gate City. So they're working on that. Is that saying that right, Sally? That's they didn't have a number, but they are working with the town. The town seems to be very supportive of this process and making sure that at least the one in Gate City is shored up. And I'll explain again, the 18 full-time positions will be structured as a 40-hour work week with flexibility for full-time, part-time, and PRN personnel as needed. So, the big news is that they've made some strides. The shifts were covered, and they've hired 5 full-time and 5 part-time employees. Any questions?
How many did we have before they hired the other 5?
We had one at the Scott County Life Saving Crew. They had 1 full-time and 5 part-time.
How many we got in the whole county though?
Oh, I'm not sure, Mr. Castile. I know that they were, to have what they need was the 18. As far as what they have in the other squads, I'm not sure if they're at full capacity. I don't think so. I think they have the same issue of trying to hire and retain people as the squad here at Gate City did. There was just other issues that needed resolved.
Where do they find 5 people at, or 4 people to take on those full-time positions? That's
well, you had the squad in Pennington went away, and those people needed jobs. There were a class at Mountain Empire that was graduating some EMSs, and Wendell Rogers could answer that a lot better, but they beat the right bush and got them. So
I'm just shocked that there's such a turnaround. That's great.
Awesome. Thank them for us, for sure.
They, were adamant about it's a long process, and they're going to be there until we're sure that that squad's on their feet. Any other questions about the rescue squad?
No, that's the best news we could have hoped for that. Thank you.
I've got some other news for you here.
Good news on it?
Yes, this is very good news.
Okay.
This is something that has been a thorn in my side for a few years now, ever since our recycling went away. As some of y'all may know, I'm on a regional recycling and solid waste working group that really myself and Mike Hatfield and Wise County created to try to find solutions for recycling and other solid waste issues. So, we've had a hard time, finding something viable. However, Sutherland County sent out an invitation to visit their new recycling center in Bluntland. It's a 12,000 square foot building, and they can handle loose plastic, cardboard, paper, aluminum, and tin. They have plans to build a MRF, which is a mechanical recycling facility that they'll be able to take the plastic, cardboard, paper, aluminum all together, like in one big pile of it. And they've invited us to be a part of it. They are reaching across regionally asking if we want to bring our recycling there. There'll be an MOU that I'll be working on with their director of solid waste and the Sullivan County. I guess they have an administrator or whoever that is in Sullivan County. Tennessee's, I think it's a mayor, isn't it?
It is.
County mayor, okay. The county mayor to develop that MOU that I hope to present to you in July. And then we'll be able to start dispersing our recycling bins and work out it logistically with the guys up at the transfer station on the routes and bring recycling back to Scott County.
That's good.
That's awesome.
So it's very awesome for Sullivan County to reach across the line, which, you know, sometimes seems like a 10,000 foot walk. But you know, if you know anybody with Sullivan County, make sure that we let them know how much we appreciate it.
Bill, to participate in that, does that mean we would have like recycling bins at our trash sites, or like what does that look like in the future?
Well, what we did previously when we were taking it to Tri-City Waste Paper, we would have the roll-off covered recycling bins in our sites. We've already got the cardboard boxes at the site. So we can make it an aluminum box. It's pretty much painting a regular dumpster blue and making an aluminum box. There's some logistics with the drivers because this is, you know, we have a hard time keeping up with the roll-off boxes now. So those trucks will have to be pulling recycle boxes, but they're not normally every day. That may be a once a week. You take it as it goes. The cardboard, we use a packer truck, and it will go around and hit all the cardboard boxes and pack it and take it over there. Some calls that you may get is that our cardboard box is full, but until all of them are pretty much full, we don't make it run. Okay, so if a citizen says that, you know, have them say, well, take it to another site or whatever. And same way with the aluminum. We have those bins, and when it gets pretty full, we send a packer truck around to pick it up. The one problem that we may have is just people being disciplined, making sure they use them correctly. It's a little harder to do when the sites are not manned when they're open. So we'll see how that goes, and we may have to tighten that in as far as the hours open. You know, 24/7, when you're only manning them 24 hours a week, it's hard to control. It's already hard to control what goes into the junk boxes and the metal recycling. So that's something that we need to think about doing, which affects two things. It affects the convenience to the public, and it affects the budget of paying people to be there. So one thing I don't have a lot of information about is that there's a third party that's talking about working with adjacent localities and putting their bins out, and they would come and get it. I don't know if a cost would be associated with that. Right now, there's no cost associated with this. They're not paying us for the cardboard, but we're not having to pay for them to take it.
Or you think it may
So
reduce
would
our
that
total trash?
reduce, yes. would that reduce us going to-
Every ton that we recycle and divert from the waste stream is $47 saved. So that diversion is paid
So the
That's
net,
right.
net effect would be, it would offset the cost of transporting to
for.
their
And tipping
location.
fee, yeah. Yeah, it would be, waste that we're not having to pay to dump. And people would get to recycle.
There would be a net gain to the county,
Right.
cost-wise.
Bill, have you heard?
It would,
Go ahead.
it would be, I'm not gonna tell you that it's gonna be a net gain because we still buy diesel to haul it, but that could break even, but it could reduce enough, if we divert enough, if we recycle enough, it can make big impacts on what it costs to get rid of our trash.
But I think too, what would help us too is to educate the people of Scott County and get them started on it now to where,
The people of Scott County have been wanting this. We've been wanting this. The opportunity just hasn't been there. That was feasible. I mean, Sullivan County's facility is close enough. It's not far from where we're already hauling trash and blowing. But, you know, you had these types of situations in Seville and on out, but it just wasn't feasible to drive that recycling all the way. But this is a great development. So,
it's wonderful.
but I'll be working on that MOU with them and present it in July. And hopefully, I'll be talking with the solid waste personnel about getting geared up, thinking logistically. I've got a couple of drivers down now that I'll need to make sure we get those drivers in place, and hopefully after July, August, we'll hit the recycling game again.
Bill, have you heard any more from Mr. Hatfield about that, what he told us about taking trash over there?
No, their solid waste director was at that same meeting I was yesterday, touring the facility, and he seemed pretty happy as well that this was coming. So I'm not sure. I haven't heard any more from
They
Mr.
was talking
Hatfield
about
about
taking all trash or something
Yeah.
and recycling it,
that. Right.
not even separated or nothing. Is that
Right. You know, and we can look at that when that comes about and see which one is better, or do both. We can still recycle and take the waste over there. So we'll see. I don't think that was for free, but it might be cheaper than what we have to tip at the landfill. We're still under contract with Waste Management, at least 3 more years as far as the contract renewal, that they have exclusive right to our waste. But we do have in there that we can divert recycled material. So.
That's great.
Any other questions about that? I think that's all, Mr. Chairman.
All good news this time. On to County Department report, recreation, Mr. Franks.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. See what you mean, yeah. Thanks for having me. I'll do my usual short, sweet, hopefully full of good news. Since the last time I saw you, we completed our youth basketball, ended in April. We had another solid turnout with 120 kids. That's kind of where we're at now. We used to hover around 90 to 100. Last couple of years, we were staying at that 120 range, so that's a good number for our basketball. I want to thank Gunnar Garrett, Dexter Harmon, Isabel King, and Adriana Lane. That's who works with me, refereeing and keeping score, and all the stuff I need help with. They do a great job. I also want to thank Scott County Schools. They're great partners with me. We use their facilities for practice and for games. And they're always great to work with me, always willing to work with me on scheduling and things like that. I know it's, those gyms are, prime real estate for all kinds of things going on there. They have to work in, so I appreciate it for sure. Small boat access sites, you're probably seeing people on kayaks and float. They're still being used consistently. That was a great investment back in the day. Those are a very popular thing for everybody in Scott County. I want to thank Public Works. Public Works does the maintenance on those sites for us, mowing and weeding and keeping those things looking good. So thank you, Public Works, for that. We're getting ready to start our summer tennis and junior golf programs next week. Summer tennis already has over 30 kids signed up. That one usually ends up with around 45, 50. That it'll probably get there. People will continue to sign up, and even the day of, and even as it goes on, we still see people come into that. And I'm really excited about our junior golf. We've already got over 25 kids signed up, and that's a big number. I look for that to go right to like 30, 35 kids. That's probably one of our largest groups we've ever had. So the golf's, and I'll talk about it in a minute, the golf with the young people is really kicking off. So now for the really good news on the golf course. Right now, if you look at last year through the same period of time, we're at a 16.7% increase over last year through the same period. And right now, we're actually over last year's total for the entire year, and we still have this whole month of June to go. It's usually a very busy month for us. We've got the Big Blue Boosters tournament this weekend, and as long as weather cooperates, I've been telling many people, if you're up there on a weekend now, Saturday or Sunday, we're out of carts by 10 a.m., 10:30 on a pretty consistent basis. So I mean, we're basically at max capacity on weekends throughout the whole day. Kind of a note of that, last year was our highest revenue total. I don't want to say ever, but I know at least in the last over 18 years, it possibly is ever. But I know for sure it's at least 18 years, and of course this year we're getting ready to blow right past that. So memberships continue to increase. We're at 89 current members. I think since I made this, we've actually got more than that now. We had 3 or 4 sign up yesterday. We were in the low 20s and 30s there for a while. We were 72 last year, so now we're getting close to that 100 number. So we're busier than ever. New players, new members constantly, and getting a lot of play from people from outside, from other areas, people that are new to our course. And a lot of them come over and play a couple rounds like, hey, I'm joining here. This is you can't beat it. So, and lastly, I wanted to say the course, it really is in the best shape it's ever been. I want to thank my staff. That's Brad Speaks, Tom Tipton, Andy Shelton, Lenny Edwards. They work extremely hard, and especially right now this time of year, they work extremely hard and they work very long hours. Whoever's scheduled for the weekend, they're about guaranteed a 60-hour week that week. So this is their busy time. They work hard, have a great staff. I always mention Scott Gerald with the Extension Office. He's been a great source of knowledge and expertise, helps us out with anything we need. He enjoys it. He likes being part of that, but really want to thank Scott. He's been a big part of how that place looks right now. And lastly, I want to thank Scott's service. I know I mentioned them a lot, but we just couldn't do what we do without them. Especially, again, this time of year, they do so many little things that allow us to stay on task with our big product, that they, take care of some little things that really keep that place looking as good as it does. We get a lot of feedback from the public that, it really does. It looks as good as it ever has. So it takes a village, and we have a village. So, but things are going great. We're busy, and that's really all you can ask for right now. So that's really all I have. Any questions, I'll try to answer the best I can. So,
Are sign-ups still open for the junior tennis and junior golf?
Yes.
What age ranges?
So the summer tennis it's for young. I mean, it starts younger. We have it broken down some different age groups, but it's basically ages 5 through like high school, But 5 is the entry level for that, and that's every Tuesday and Thursday down at River City Elementary School. The junior golf, we started at 8, and it's 8 to 13, but like I said, that's broken down into 2 different. 8 to 10 is your younger group, and then 11 to 13 is or 11 to 14 is your older group. So And we provide we have rackets, we have balls, we have clubs. You know, a lot of kids have their own stuff, but we have plenty of stuff for kids that don't. So especially when they're just trying it out, I say, hey, we got the stuff, bring them with them, so they like it, then go from there, so.
Where would they go to sign up for?
You can go on the county website, there's a link. There's also a link to the Scott County Rec Department Facebook. It's got a direct link to that county website. Or just show up Tuesday morning. I mean, there's a lot of people I know, they just show up Tuesday and we sign up, so. And with vacations and stuff, you know, there's kids that come later where it's a clinic format, there's not like really a cutoff. You know, there's not like teams and rosters, it's just like a clinic camp format, so we can take them all the way through, so. And with that, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I don't even know who all's helping me yet this year. I had tons of help from high school kids and tennis team members and golf team members that help with my program, so I do want to go ahead and thank them ahead of time because I couldn't do it on my own, so I had a lot of help, so.
You were looking at the extended hours at the
Yes.
golf course. Do you have anything on that?
To be honest with you, we could not do it without probably hiring extra. I mean, right now, like I said, right now those guys are working more than 40 a week, up to 60 a week, with a staff of 4. And when they're there, they're working. I mean, I'm mowing with them too. There's 5 of us mowing, you know, almost every day. We would have to stay overnight later, we'd have to have extra staff, and I just don't think we could do it with the staff we have now. Staying open until 7 is, you know, some courses stay up till 8, so we're not that far off, but like, you know, 7 o'clock is when people have to be done with the cars and have them in and stuff, so.
What would the cost of an additional employee be?
The one, I don't have the information, I do have it on my computer. I had done some real basic math. Like if you hire a part-time person and kind of just for that, you know, coming in at maybe 2 or 3 o'clock instead of 8 or something like that throughout the week. And don't quote me on this. I want to say it was and this is for a part-time, this was for not a full-time. I want to say the part-time was, it was under 20, I believe. I'd have to go back and look, but I have that on a file, because at one time I'd done some numbers and figuring on that for like a seasonal part-time. Like obviously, that probably start around, you could probably start that in May and be okay. And you probably want to run that you could probably do May through September, and that would cover like your bulk of your busy season, you know, so it's not like a part-time year-round, that would just be broken down kind of that seasonal time.
How long does it take to play 9 holes?
Kind of we have a little, there's a little card that says expected pace of play. No, so kind of industry standard and what we've seen too. And this is kind of, you know, if me and Bill, we'd get done a lot, but well, no, Bill may not hit it that good, I don't know. No.
I'd be in the woods.
Yeah. But say for like a foursome, playing 9 holes, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and for 18 holes would be like 4 hours and a half. But that's veering on the side of longer. I mean, there's people that come here in twos, they can play an hour and a half, you know, or even shorter. You know, it just depends on some factors. But we have on their pace of play expectations and try to keep people on that. They do a good job. But that you said about 2 hours for 9 holes is kind of the
with extended hours, so they might play 18 instead of 9.
Right. Yeah, we basically kind of do a cutoff, you know, after 3. And that's the thing, Meadowview does it, Warriors does it. You know, after 3, you can't book an 18. You know, it's just 9 holes after that time period. So, and that's kind of what we do with it up there. So,
If the demand continues to increase year over year, you should really look at hiring some extra help and doing those extended hours.
yeah, it would.
It'd be worth it, I think.
I think now with how it's going and like all the young, again, those members, a big portion of those are the younger generation, which is great. and they're wearing it out. I mean, I was just telling a story about one where he came up, he played 9 holes Saturday, and then he came back with a buddy and played 9. And then that evening he played 3 different times with 3 different friends Saturday. So that they can't get enough of it. But yeah, I can do some more. I can go back to that and maybe send some information to you all and kind of see.
It's worth it.
Revisit that. Yeah. Like I said, the revenue's up, the play's up.
So I have a question. What
Yes.
about the rental of the room upstairs? Are you still, is it
Yes.
doing okay?
Oh yeah, yes.
Well, we just had Keith Memorial Park come up and talk to us. They were doing, 8 hours for $125, 9 hours for $145, 10 hours for $165, so on and so forth. It's $20 for each additional hour. So what do you think about doing something like that with that room up there? Or should we?
We could,
Keep it at a-
currently we keep it like whole day rentals, and a lot of that is because
So the cost that it is right now, the $100, that's for all day long?
that's it, you got it,
Okay.
yeah. And we do that, one, again, for resources and staffing, I don't have anyone that could, in between cleaning, like, there wouldn't be anyone there to, if we did like multiple rentals a day,
Right.
I don't know how we would get it prepared in between. That's why we kind of have the whole days, just so we can, I mean, I go up there on nights and weekends when I can to check it and make sure it's ready for the next person. So that would be, I mean, you could do that, but you probably have to think about hiring somebody to be in charge of that, of checking it, cleaning it every time there's, a different breakdown of rentals. And ours it's been cheap for a while, so, but it stayed, I mean, most months, I don't want to say every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it's at least every Saturday, Sunday. So.
Derek, I've talked to you, I've talked to John and Sally about an idea, and this is probably the best time to mention it to the board during this, is a rebranding of the park or of the golf course, where right now it's Scott County Golf Course. My idea is to have a name for the golf course. We've batted around like Sunnyside Golf Course, and then have a Scott County Park for marketing purposes. What do you guys think about that?
Could we get away legally with Sunnyside?
John seemed to think so, yeah.
The song's called Keep on Sunnyside.
Okay.
On Sunnyside.
Yeah. So,
Nowadays you can even they do like those public polling things where people kind of do like a survey vote thing and kind
Or-
of throw some options.
or you could,
Well, no, we would have a list of what they could do. No, not, I know there's been some internet things where they've. Yes, that, yeah. I guess it obviously back in the day was Moxon Hills Country Club, but what is it?
Moxon Hills, yeah, I guess. But I guess the proper way of going about it would be to form some sort of committee and get some ideas from others. But what does the board think about a rebranding process for the golf course?
I think it's a good idea.
I don't have any problem with it, but I'd like to see it open more, especially through the summer months. Maybe we'll say, maybe some kid gets out of high school or something, work it during the summer, you give them a job, and then it'd be a part-time job. I don't know what they do after they start school, but it wouldn't be for more than about 30 days no way, so. And it would give it a name, maybe it'd draw more people
Yes,
to come see
Scott County
it.
Park and Golf Course does sound kind of
Yeah.
Municipal?
mechanical, municipal.
Municipal's a good word.
Yeah, if you had somebody staying at Meadowview and then played their golf course and they were looking around and they saw Sunnyside Golf Course
Yeah.
or whatever, versus Scott County Golf Course.
Mhm.
It might be more attractive to them.
Yeah. I can start, we've got some, I'll say legend, we got some legends up there. I can kind of start throwing around and get some ideas and start putting some work in on that and kind of maybe gathering some info and seeing what people have in mind. But I agree, the Scott County, it always has been very municipal, sounding instead of something.
I'd like to see that room that you renovated. I tried to
I know,
fix
and it's,
capital improvements.
And the deck, and we got the deck, so grateful that someone was up the other day looking around preparing for a class reunion they were having later in the year, and they were just going on and on about that deck, about how
It's beautiful up there,
it was
that
great.
room is really nice.
Yes.
Especially with the fireplace and everything, if we could just update that kitchen.
You got a spare?
Sorry, it's my pet peeve.
You got some spare change?
I know. I scored her really high during capital improvements. So I did, but it didn't go through. But I tried.
It would be a good investment.
It would be a really good investment. And
There's
it's just a beautiful location, beautiful room. I mean, it just needs updated. Needs, better kitchen area, more plug-ins, flooring, yeah.
It's been a good floor, but when I first started, it was that, like, school tile, and that was awful. And then we did get but it's about.
But Brittany's doing a really good job with the tourism, with Scott County Tourism. She's doing great videos and all that, but she'd go up there and take videos up there. It's just so nice, so pretty.
How many people does that hold us up there 30 years ago or so? I done forgot.
So there's not really, I tell people you can have an event or party with like food and space. I generally say 75, and that's getting pretty crowded, but now of course you do.
Bigger this room, ain't it? Or about the same size?
It might be slightly smaller than this room. I mean, but not a whole lot, but it's probably a little bit smaller.
But then you've got the deck that you.
But you have the deck and big tables, so there's been people have 100, there's been people have bands, there's been people have consignment sales, we've had weddings, we've had about everything.
It was amazing.
A wedding venue would go crazy if you had a gazebo or an arbor or something set up somewhere.
We have a little gazebo at the side, and people have used it for weddings. We've had youth passion up there. We've had just about everything you can imagine up there.
Is there a grant?
So you come in showing what all you've done and we just pile on.
Or we can do it. I thank y'all for supporting everything. And like I said, things are rolling, so we'll just try to keep it rolling.
Good job, keeping it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our ideas.
I always love to hear it. No, it's all good.
Wedding venue,
I love it.
All right, Economic
Blah, blah,
Development
blah.
Authority, Mr. Kilgore. That's a hard act to follow, I know.
While Mr. Kilgore's coming up, there was a note from Kevin that I meant to tell the board during the finances. Kevin sent a note, said that they received $20,219.80 from our general fund and $79,274.20 from the LGIP in the month of May. He's talking about interest. That brings our interest earned from these two accounts to $391,736.38 since January 1st.
Woo!
So that's pretty
That
awesome.
is awesome.
$391,000
Good
since
job,
January.
Treasurer.
in
Very
interest.
good job.
Interest rate stay up and everything. Man, we were making a killing off that.
Can you beat that?
I guess I'm ready to go. I want to think between you on lunch or you on the hayfield. I don't know, there's a couple of you might need to be in the hayfield. Since all that's down out my road, I figured that Darrell had some down too. talk to you about economic development and appreciate the opportunity to present today and talk about that. We'll start with the Riverside development, and of course Salinity is the one that announced the partnership with us to develop a master plan community, and we continue to work with them and prospective business on that site. The recent thing, VC approved a lien release that's on a part of the property to assist us in the facilitation of a daycare facility. And housing application for Riverside, we submitted that to Virginia Department of Housing. However, we were unsuccessful for the first round. We've had a follow-up call with Virginia Department of Housing to see how we can improve that, and we will resubmit, and looks like they may have another round this year, and they had anticipated that they would wait till January of next year, but looks like it's going to be this year. So we will put another application in for the Virginia Department of Housing. And that will hopefully be a grant to help facilitate the housing people, the people that want to move into a house, and help them with that bottom line. And also we've worked with the developer. They have been working on the housing plan, and they met with the Planning Commission recently at their last meeting, and they will improve upon that and come up with a final. And the developer has initiated work on the daycare facility as well. As far as Salinity, they have a marketing group, and they've been working on the other side on the branding. That is the brand. It's called Riverside. So you were talking about a name for the golf course, you know, that's very simple. And that is the brand. So it's where rivers and trails meets. That's basically what that R is at the top. And that works well because everything down there could be this at Riverside. Daycare, whatever the daycare name is at Riverside. And whatever, you know, the senior care facility is, be this at Riverside. So that'll be really good in moving forward. This is the plan that they have now. Of course, it's a multi-use development with components of daycare, senior care, memory care, housing. And, you know, if you look at any estimates at all, you're looking at, you know, it'll be north of $100 million in investment. Now, I will tell you, it takes time. You know, it's not overnight. You can't do this overnight. You got to give them time to develop a plan. You got to give the builders time to build it. It just don't happen. We've worked on projects before. I'll give you an example of the Interpretive Center in Duffield. It took 10 years to build that. Now, hopefully we're not on a 10-year plan here. That was, we had a lot of grant complications with Daniel Boone Interpretive Center, and we had bid it out 2 or 3 times, but we finally got it built. Now this will be a developer, so they can hopefully move this on fairly quick, but it does take time. I will mention that. The Virginia Tobacco Commission recently, they continue to invest in the tobacco producing counties. Of course, Scott County has always been a tobacco producing county, and one of the top 3 as far as Burley. And if you look at the recent announcements, of course, the Tobacco Commission approved a match on the Virginia Business Ready Site Program on January of 2024. So we're still working with the BEDP on that to try to get that for Duffield to increase the site classification on that. And they just recently approved a match for a roof replacement at the Pioneer Center. So those are 2 recent ones they've done, but if you look at the Tobacco Commission in the past, over time, it's over in excess of $30 million they've invested in Scott County. So it's been a huge help for us. Oops, sorry, quick. Recently, the EDA entered into a lease agreement with the Scott County Regional Horse Association, and that's on 12.69 acres that surround the Scott County Regional Horse Park. And we are working with them on that, and hopefully they'll have a better facility there to add that additional land. They can add more parking or whatever they need to at the Regional Horse Park there. We also continue to our small business support. We focus on the existing and new industry, of course, but we focus a lot on small business by providing them with loan and grant programs. They work through their Small Business Development Center for those, but we also help them, of course, in the ribbon cuttings and things like that. And we appreciate the board supporting us, and we, of course, the EDA was a major sponsor of the luncheon for the Business and Industry Appreciation Lunch, but your all's resolution, that's great support, and to just tell them that we thank them and support them. And I've seen a lot of increase in people, the traffic going to our small business in town, in Gate City and Nicholsville, and people eating at the restaurants, people going to the stores. If you notice that when you go, there's a lot of people. And like this past Saturday in Gate City, there wasn't a parking place. And that's really good that you wouldn't have that. And that's on a Saturday at night, there was no parking place.
How long's it been since you've seen that?
It's been a long time. Yeah. So, but I do appreciate your all's support on the small business. That's a quick trigger. Okay. The RBEG program, of course, we continue with that, which is a loan program. We're currently working with one business now, but we've had 40 loans approved to date, and that's the number of employees. And we'll continue to, put a word out through the Small Business Development Center to try to get people to take that loan. We also worked with the Virginia Seed Capital Grant Program, and with Small Business Development Center, they approved that for a 2 Sweet Bees in Nicholsville. That was the latest one that received a seed capital grant from the Virginia Coalfield Economic Development Authority. The Crooked Road is another, I represent the county on the Crooked Road Board, so they're going to do a special presentation to the Quarter Fold on Saturday night. So if anybody's available around 7:15, come by the Quarter Fold, and then Crooked Road will do a special presentation. We also have a couple of special shows coming up. On June 21st is Appalachia Rising, and that's Virginia Tourism is a major sponsor of that. We'll have Trey Hensley there, and you'll have the Hog Slop string band, and they will be there for that June 21st.
What was that band again?
Hog Slop. You want me to say that 3 times fast? That's why you do that. Hog Slop string band. You gotta slow down to say that.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah, you want to say that again?
I think you got it right the last time.
Yeah. And then also on July 26th is that is their annual festival. It's changed from last year. It was the first week of August, but it's July 26th. And this year, highlighting that as the headliner is the Dan Tominski Band.
Wow.
If you've never seen Dan Tominski, he is the one on "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" He's the one singing "Man of Constant Sorrow."
He is the voice behind George Clooney.
Yes, he is the voice behind George Clooney, and that's one reason why that received many Grammys for that album.
That's him.
Yep. So please try to support that or come out and see that. You will enjoy that show. I've seen him before, and he's really good. Looking ahead, we continue to work with BEDP on that Business Ready Site program, as I stated before, and we'll continue to focus on strategic housing throughout the county, not just at the riverside. So we're looking at that. We're also working with on the housing, working with the region, the RIFA region, on a housing grant through the Virginia Department of Housing, where we'll hopefully get some more developers interested in housing. So we'll be having a workshop on that, not only in the Lennowisco region, but also the other region as well, and cover the whole BC area is what we're going to do. And we continue to also work as a region to improve the trails at Jefferson National Forest. We also continue to do target marketing, and recently helped market the county with the state at a site consultants forum that Virginia sponsored, the state of Virginia, and also worked with BC at a site selection event where we had 7 preset appointments where we sit down with companies across the table and see what their needs are. And some of those are startups, some of them are not, to see if we can get them interested in Southwest Virginia. Also, we partner with RIFA counties to gain additional investment and jobs in the region on the RIFA site in Norton. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Board of Supervisors, comments, requests, and recommendations. Anybody have any comment?
I'll do quickly.
Yeah.
Now we've got our budget coming up. On the VDOT, I had 5 work order follow-ups I did this month. I've got a call about Reed Hollow, and Mr. Sumter told me today they wanted to get some patching done, and that road will be improved quite a bit in a couple of years. It's on a calendar for 2-year major work. PSA, Hilton's and Newman sewer projects have been bid, and they're getting their contractors lined up to start work on that. Lennowisco this week, John mentioned the RIFA. We're getting back $6,000 from them. I think that's the first contribution we've got. And I think we contributed $5,500 from the county, but we're getting back $6,000 this year. Friends of Southwest Virginia, John mentioned the Regional Horse Park. They had a showing at the Visitor Center in Norton. Mr. Dingus, Mr. Castile, and I went. We saw some drawings of the potential there at the horse park, which is really impressive, and they're moving forward on trying to get something going there with that. We had the passing of Mayor Debbie Horn recently from Dungannon, and I think she's made some major contributions to the county, and I just wanted to recognize that. Nicholsville Days this weekend, so we're expecting some big things there. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Skate. Anybody else? I was going to say, me and Bill, we attended the Southwest Virginia Economic Forum. It was very informative. There was a lot of good information there. Something that really stuck out to me, and something that John was kind of hitting on, and that we've heard already, is one of the big attractors to this region is lifestyle, not just the availability of workforce, but a place to live, the greenery, the recreation that we all enjoy, ATVs, horses. So I just thought that was interesting to see that start to get highlighted, and I see a lot of our tourism director working to highlight that in Scott County. So I think that's a good path to be on for us.
She's doing a really good job.
She is doing a great job.
I love watching all the videos.
And I appreciate her trying to keep the farmers safe during hay season with her. Thank you. Any other comments from the supervisors? Oh, one other thing, for Fraley Town Road, I want to make a motion to advertise for a public hearing for that, and we'll see how the public feels about that, since the county wouldn't be out any money if we close that portion of it. I think that's fair, because we've heard from that community that they want that. So I'll make the motion that we advertise a public hearing for the closure of a portion of Fraley Town Road that extends through that bottom and contains that bridge that is due to be rebuilt. Do I have?
I'll second that motion.
All right. Everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
I would like to add something to that came up last meeting. The bridge was closed in '23. 911 did a report for me. They had one call in 2020, going back to 2021, they had one call of needing assistance for the police to assist. They had one arrest in that period. I did have an opportunity to drive that road and spoke to a few people. One was indifferent, and 3 were okay with closing. So it's just 4 people.
Yeah.
So that public hearing may be in August, because usually, I think, if I remember right, I wasn't prepared for this today. but it has to be posted for 30 days.
Okay, has to be
In
posted.
addition to being in the paper, so that would be August.
Okay, that's fine. Let's just get it started for
Okay.
Mr. Lawson and his community down there. We'll see where that one lines up at. Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? All right, we'll adjourn for lunch and then come back for the